Hi there, this is Bob Smith. We're going to be today with you to show you how to change the front brakes and rotors on a 2008 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD. This does have the Duramax 6.6 liter in it as well. Really shouldn't matter. The 2500s in the front end are really both the same, whether it's a gas or a diesel engine. But first things first, we're going to have to get the truck up with the jacks and start getting the wheels loosened up here to remove them. Always be careful, obviously, when you're jacking the vehicle up, that you get it on a nice solid surface and that you also use jack stands. Very important. Trucks are very heavy, obviously, and you don't want any issues when you're going to be pulling and pushing on the brake parts to have something fall on top of you. I'm going ahead and choosing this main cross member to jack up on. What I had to do, this is a Z71, so it has the skid plates underneath. I had to remove those so I could get access to this main cross member that ties underneath the engine, and I'm going to jack up on that just a little bit to take some of the pressure off the wheels. Then I'm going to go ahead and start loosening the lugs so I have some pressure on the tire before I raise it up fully. Okay, I'm just finishing up taking the lugs and loosening them up here from the wheels. We're going to make sure those are nice and loose so we can jack it up and really get the rest of these off a little easier. Already hit all these around here, so we're good to go. Just have to hit the other side now. I'm going to be doing both front wheels on this. Alright, here are the old rotors and calipers, and I'm going to start doing some disassembly. What I'm actually going to do with this too, I had seen a idea in regards to basically painting the caliper, so I got some caliper paint, and I'm going to paint these red before I put them back on. The truck's a little detailed and has some nicer wheels, so I figured out what the heck, pulling it apart, might as well do it right. So anyways, we're going to work on that a little bit here and try to get some things cleaned up around these calipers and try to start getting those painted. Okay, now that I pulled the wheel out a little bit, I have a little bit better access to my caliper here. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not just changing the brake shoes and the rotors. I'm actually going to be painting this caliper too, just kind of a little bit of a nice little clean up to the caliper. I have some wheels that are a little bit more open and you'll be able to see those through the wheels, so I figured what the heck, going this far, I might as well do it. I heard of this product, actually bought it at the local auto parts store, and it is a little brake caliper paint kit. Comes with the paint that you brush on. It also comes with a can of cleaner so that you can clean up the caliper real well. It's supposed to work for all four, so you have enough paint. It's about a pint's worth of high temp red paint. So we're going to go ahead and get the cleaner out of here, a can of brake cleaner that they give you with it, and I'm going to start by just cleaning down the caliper and all the surrounding parts in there just to make sure they're really good and clean. It's obviously, paint isn't going to stick to this surface if it's got a lot of dirt on it, so I want to just make sure it's clean. I've obviously got a pan down under here too to catch any of the junk, so I'll spray it down. I'm actually going to get a brush here and brush it off a little bit with an old toothbrush that I have too, so hopefully that'll do the job. We'll come back in a few minutes here and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, here we go. I got the calipers all taped off around all the different bleeder valves and some of the hoses so we don't overspray that. Cleaned up everything with the brake cleaning fluid. Now I've got my paint, got my foam brush, and I'm going to go ahead and start applying this, see how we do here. They say to apply it in thin coats so that basically you'll come back and just kind of keep adding to the layers so that you're not overcoating it, making it take 2 days to dry, because this stuff's supposed to dry in, like they're saying, like 15 minutes. So let's hope that is the case, because I don't have a lot of time obviously to work on these. I would like to get it done today, so looks a little thin right now, but I'm sure over the next few coats as it starts to fill in it'll be a little bit better. So I won't bore you guys with the rest of this. We're going to go ahead and continue to paint these, let them dry, add a few more coats, and then once we get that done, we'll show you the finished product there. Well, I got the caliper all painted up, ready to go, so now I actually will finish disassembling the brakes and get my new pads and rotors back on. We're going to let this set up for an hour or so just so it dries real good before I start playing with it again here. Before I actually take these bolts off, I'm going to actually loosen the pressure on this caliper against the brake shoes. Right now it's really tight, obviously, because of the brake caliper being expanded for these size shoes. You don't want to try to pull these off until you loosen up some of that pressure on that caliper cup. First thing you should do though is open up your cap on your master cylinder to make sure as you push those cups back in that it will actually allow that fluid to go back into the master cylinder and don't cause any problems with pressure going back in there. What I'm going to do is just add this pry bar in here between the brake pad and the caliper body itself, and I'm just going to pull back just with a little bit of pressure, and you can actually feel the cup compressing in there, and then that'll give me enough room to be able to remove this with a little bit of slop in here now, and you can see that, so that it'll pull off around the shoes easily. You just don't want to do any damage to that caliper cup. Okay, we're taking a look at the back of the caliper now. It's all painted and ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and start taking the bolts off now to remove the caliper. This one is the top one. It's an 18 millimeter. And then we also have one down here at the bottom, which is an 18. Once that comes off, we're going to actually have to take the carriage off to get the rotor off. And that's what these additional bolts are here. 21 millimeter there. And another one up here at the top as well. So we'll go ahead and do that next. Okay, we're going to go ahead and loosen these bolts now. The caliper is pretty loose. That one's loose. We're going to go ahead and take the caliper off. Got to be careful of these pins as you pull them out. You don't want to damage anything on these because they allow that caliper to slide back and forth. So you just want to make sure they're good and clean after you've pulled them out. That's basically what the pin looks like, and we'll clean that up and add some more lube to it before we put it back in. Get this top one out. There's that one. Now we're just going to go ahead and take this caliper completely off. And now that I've loosened up the lines, I'm going to go ahead and move that too so we can get it basically down to where we can lean it on that line down below, or the cans down below here. That gets it out of the way, so now we can work on getting this cage off next, which is going to be our 21 millimeter bolts that are on the back here. Alright, let's hope for the best on this. I'm going to go ahead and try breaking the bottom bolt on this cage. Hopefully it'll be not too hard to go. Yeah, it is. Okay, I think we're going to resort to the impact wrench now. That's not going to work. Got the first bolt out here, a little tough. They definitely are in there good, and I'm going to get this second one out with the impact wrench here. So there's the 21, and here comes the cage. That's the 21 millimeter. I'm probably going to put, it looks like they did have some kind of Loctite on there, so I'll probably add a little bit of the blue Loctite when I go to put those back on. And then there's the cage. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull our brake shoes out of there. Alright, here's the cage for the brakes we took out with the old brake shoes. We're going to pull those out and get them out of the way. Definitely needed to add some new pads for that. They're in pretty thin shape there, so Get those out of the way. The other thing we need to do is make sure we clean these slides. They're basically a stainless steel clip that's on here. You can see how dirty they are. Those have to be cleaned up real good before you put your new pads on, so that those pads slide on there when the brake shoes start to wear. We're going to go ahead and clean those up next. Alright, one thing you want to do before you set your new pads back into that cage, I'm taking a look at the old pads here, and this is the inboard pad and this is the outboard. I want to make sure I match up and have the right pad for the new ones going into the cage in the correct position. I looked at these and I noticed that these two match because I have the wear tabs right here on the back of the brake, and they look like they match up. These two, which are the outboards, does not have any kind of a wear tab, and they look the same, so I'm going to match those two up. You just want to make sure you do that before you put those back in. And we did go ahead and get our little slides here, the shims, cleaned up, so they're ready to go. They're all clean so that those brake pads will slide nice and easy on there. Sometimes you'll get new shims with your brake pads, but just match them up with the originals, because sometimes they fit a little sloppier. And if that's the case, you're better off to use the old ones unless they're damaged. So we'll go ahead and fit the new brake pads in now. Okay, there's our pads now back in the cage up against the shims, and they're ready to go to be placed back into the vehicle. We're going to go ahead and remount this back onto that spindle arm inside. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pull these rotors off now. They seem pretty loose, so just slide those off. There we go. Go ahead and clean some things up here and get ready to put the new ones back on.